sometimes the best thing to do in the market is to cut through the noise and buy when everyone else is selling. And we're going to talk about Xilinx now because that's definitely what's happening this morning. People are selling Xilinx. Stock is down quite a bit from its earnings. But Jim, you got out your button and your buy button and you pushed it because you bought some shares for Action Alerts Plus. So let's go through one. It's hard to buy when everybody else is selling.
The CEO, Gabriella, did come on Mad Money and say basically that things were good. And it was a month ago, and this Ericsson contract was bad. So you could say to yourself, okay, well, what he said on the show wasn't good. The stock had been acting kind of tepid. And I don't like what happened. But sometimes you have to say to yourself, all right, what's the future look like? They've got some very big Chinese orders coming in. This was a loss to Altera. They have been taking share from Altera. We don't know whether there's a gap with China. Maybe China is supposed to start kicking in. But the future is brighter than the past here, and the past has been pretty darn good. There's a lot of capital. I think that I think he'll stand there, Gabriella, the CEO, and buy a lot of stock in the interim. It's been a very aggressive buyback. Look, it's disappointing to own a stock that goes down, but sometimes you have to use it to buy more.
And you brought up a point that the key customer, Ericsson, they saw a decline in sales from them, but that was more of a product transition, right?
True, but they didn't flag that. And Deborah, that was bad. I mean, if I were interviewing Mr. Gabriella of today, I would say, why didn't you flag that? Why did you let this kind of thing happen? Maybe it was a big surprise, but why not just say, listen, we've got difficult transition issues here. And that way you'd have more of a guide and less of what clearly is being regarded as being a big guidance letdown. This is a very well-run company. It does have the best technology. It's disappointing to own anything. I mean, we own Union Pacific. I'm very upset about that today. Because Union Pacific, again, they said some things that looked like that we were okay, and then they didn't deliver. These companies that are really doing poorly right now are the companies that told you things were okay and they weren't. I think Xilinx in 2014 will be okay. I'm still struggling over Union Pacific.
All right, so it takes a lot of guts to make this type of
decision.
Does.
Yeah, it does. And I'll probably be wrong for a couple days. You know that? Probably be wrong.
What's your outlook then? That's a good point to bring up. Is Horizon? What's your time horizon on something like Xilinx?
This is probably a second quarter 2014 now.
Okay.
I think you'll hear about China more in the first quarter, but I think this was a setback, and Steffi and I don't like setbacks, obviously, but I don't think the stock turns because you can't have them next week go out and say guidance is better. But we have seen companies with 2014 looks that were good, even though 2013 is bad. This is the opposite of eBay, for instance. eBay is really good, and then they told you 2014 is probably not. I vastly prefer Xilinx, which told you this quarter wasn't as good as you thought, because of this current quarter is not as good as you thought because of Ericsson, but they're keeping the guidance for next year. So I think that's okay, but it doesn't happen overnight.
All right, so Jim is holding his nose and he's pushing his buy button for Xilinx.